Guys, we're back, Wrestling Mayhem Show, episode 154. And our guest is on the line.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the privilege of the Wrestling Mayhem Show to be here with the one and the only Armando Alejandro Estrada. Welcome to the show, sir.
What's up, man? So, how's it going for you tonight, Armando?
Well, thanks for asking. Thank you for having me on your show. I am in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. I'm in the process of opening up my beautiful restaurant, set to open shortly. Baby's Steak and Lemonade, coming soon to Glendale, Arizona.
Excellent. Yeah, we've been hearing a lot about this restaurant, and I definitely want to ask you about it. But Phoenix, Arizona. Now we're up in Pittsburgh, and the Super Bowl just went down. So I gotta say, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not a native Arizonian by any means, but I won't lie, a part of me was pulling for the Cardinals just because it would have been great for the town and great for the city.
Mm-hmm.
The city was a little bummed, but at the same time, the Cardinals had a great year. Mm-hmm. But hey, you guys had the better team, and congratulations to the Steelers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I hope nothing caught on fire there as it did here.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, thankfully not in my neighborhood, but it was a little scary out there.
Yeah,
I understand.
It was a little dicey going home from the game.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, you mentioned the restaurant. I mean, of course, it's been a few months since you've been with WWE. Has this been something that's come up since you've been off, or was this something in the works beforehand?
This is, the restaurant had been in the works for some time as far as something I had wanted to do. And upon getting my release from WWE, I was able to pursue it full time.
Okay.
So, again, with the WWE schedule being so hectic with the travel and all, sometimes side projects have to be brushed aside, and now that I have nothing but time on my hands, I was able to pursue that. It's been a dream of mine to own my own business, and we're about 10 days away from opening up our doors, so I'm looking forward to that. BabySteakandLemonade.com, coming soon to Glendale, Arizona.
Excellent. Now, every restaurant has a specialty, and I'm assuming it's steak and lemonade. But do you have like a particular dish that you would recommend to everybody?
Well, you guys are Pittsburgh, so you guys are familiar with cheesesteaks, and our specialty is the cheesesteak. We have some specialty sandwiches on our menu, and one of them is going to be called the Armando Spicy Steak Sandwich, so I recommend that sandwich to everybody. It's sirloin steak sliced up with jalapenos, roasted red pepper hummus with provolone cheese on fresh baked bread. And it's named after me, so it's pretty damn good.
Oh, can you send the recipe to my wife, please?
Can you just send us sandwiches? That sounds spectacular.
So we have a few things brewing here. I mean, we have our menu, we just finalized it, and we've actually got some interesting combinations on the menu, to say the least. And once we get the website, which should be up shortly, everybody will be able to take a peek at what Baby Steak and Lemonade has to offer.
Excellent. That definitely let us know when that's up. We'll put it up on the website so everybody else can check it out. Mm-hmm. So excellent. Well,
we are a wrestling podcast, so if we could ask you a few questions about your time in wrestling.
Sure.
I'm curious. I was looking, and I couldn't find a lot of information on you before OVW. You spent your time in Ohio Valley Wrestling, but I was curious, what got you into wrestling originally? How did you come up through the business?
How did I get into wrestling originally? What got me into the business? Was that the question?
Right.
Yes.
Well, I was always a fan. I mean, always a fan. Since I was 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. I grew up in a wrestling household. My entire family watched the NWA growing up in the early '80s in Chicago, actually. And my older brother's father would always have the tube set to AWA. We would get world-class championship wrestling. We would get Bill Watts UWF. And we used to actually get all that on syndication before we had ever watched WWF at the time. Mm-hmm. So just something that I always grew up watching as a kid and later as a teen into my adult years. Something I knew I always wanted to do, and I found out about a school. You know, I didn't know that you could actually go to a wrestling school. And that's what I did. I found out about Ohio Valley Wrestling, and I made the move to Louisville, Kentucky, and it was one of the best decisions I made.
Wow.
Excellent. Now, coming up through OVW, let's see, you were very successful as, let me see, the full name was Osama Rodriguez Alejandro. You worked with Muhammad Hassan and his entourage and Daivari.
Who we also talked to on the Mayhem show here at Daivari.
That's true. And then Paul Heyman, when he took over as head booker, he moved you on to be an interviewer. Now, do you feel that your time as an interviewer, you've always been highly praised for your mic skills. Do you think your time as an interviewer in OVW added to that?
I'm sorry, I'm having a little difficulty hearing you. Could you repeat the question?
No problem.
I'm sorry.
Just the speakerphone and move closer.
You spent time in OVW as a interviewer when Paul Heyman came in. Do you feel, now you've always been praised for your mic skills. Do you feel that your time in OVW added to that?
Oh, without a doubt. When Paul Heyman came in, when Paul Heyman took over the writing for Ohio Valley Wrestling, he allowed me, he basically gave me the opportunity to shine. And what I mean is he helped me come out of my shell as a performer and as a character and really embrace the Osama Rodriguez Alejandro character. And, you know, practice makes perfect. You know, the more I spoke, the more comfortable I became. And, you know, it wasn't uncommon for me 3, 4, 5 minute backstage segments, you know, which is a lot of time on a 1-hour TV show to have that much mic time. Mm-hmm. And again, the more I spoke, the more comfortable I became, and you know, it was great to work with Paul. You know, he really helped me a lot break out as a performer. WWE took notice, and that's how I eventually got signed.
Excellent. Very cool. Now, like you said, you did eventually get signed. It was April 3rd, 2006. You were called up to the main roster on Raw, and you started to manage Umaga, who both of you started off big with a feud against Ric Flair. Can you tell us anything about that?
Oh, that was great. I mean, not only did I get to debut on one of the most anticipated Raws of the year, being the day after WrestleMania, not only did I debut in my hometown of Chicago, which is a building that I had gone to many times as a fan, you know, to watch guys like Ric Flair, but I got to debut against one of the guys that I grew up, you know, for all intents and purposes, idolizing. One of the greatest of all time, the greatest of all time, is your boy Ric Flair. So that was a big deal, you know, and that was a very memorable segment, and I thought it made for a very memorable debut. And the best part about that was I was able to get through it without losing my voice, because I had bronchitis, actually. And I was so worried about the microphone not picking up what I had to say that I was literally screaming at the top of my lungs so that I could get the words out. So yeah, that was awesome. Great time, great feeling, great atmosphere.
Nice. Now, after the deal with Ric Flair, they proceeded to push Umaga through a few squash matches, and you got more and more time on the mic, being able to introduce him. Now, it was around this time you stopped doing the trademark introductions that you were becoming so famous for, because
which we were big fans here on the show.
Absolutely.
To be honest, we still do it to this day. Yeah, varying regards of how well we can roll our R's, of course.
That's true.
But
now we've I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
That's okay. Oh, now we've heard as to why you did it, but I'm curious, was it your idea to stop doing it, or were you instructed to stop?
As far as introducing myself?
Right.
Yes.
Well, basically, I was doing the introduction, and the fans started to take a liking to us, which was not the direction that the Estrada and Umaga character. We weren't going in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, it was something that had to be done because of the plans WWE had for us at the time. You know what I mean? We were getting ready to go into a program with John Cena, who's the top babyface in the company.
Right.
And it really didn't make sense at the time to continue doing that introduction because we were getting the wrong reaction. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Against the top babyface. So that's why I stopped doing the intro.
I see. Then, they moved, after that, they moved Umaga into the feud with Bobby Lashley. And I was wondering if you could tell us about the time leading up to WrestleMania.
Well, that was around the time that we started the angle with Donald Trump in the Battle of the Billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
And Vince became more involved with, managing or seconding the Bulldozer. And it was great to get to work with Vince McMahon as a performer. You know, how do you not learn from somebody like that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So working alongside him was great. It was fun. It was eye-opening. You know what I mean? And there were things that I learned from Vince that I wouldn't have learned from anybody else. You know, it's his company, it's his vision. So he cares about the product more than anybody. You know what I mean? And rightfully so. So that was a very interesting time, and it was fun. WrestleMania, Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan, 80,000 people. You know what I mean? Hey, we outdrew the Lions, okay? The Lions didn't put that many people in that stadium.
Yeah, there's...
You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, then again, we have a better product than the Lions, but anyway. You know, that was an awesome feeling. Donald Trump, you know, Steve Austin, special guest referee. What more could you ask for? It was an awesome show, awesome match, and I think the fans got their money's worth.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Very cool. Now, shortly after, you were moved to ECW as the general manager. Did you enjoy your time in ECW as the manager?
Did I enjoy my time?
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It allowed me to, because prior to becoming the general manager, I was working with Umaga and a handful of maybe Vince on occasion backstage. When I became the general manager, it allowed me to work with a number of talents on the ECW roster, both heels and baby faces. So I got to work with a number of talented performers, and that was the biggest difference, and it was very enjoyable for me.
Now, I want to step back for a second. Now, we always talk about, like, there's valets these days and managers, but not, like, as wrestling fans, we definitely miss the good old days of the Bobby Heenans, the Mouth of the South. You seem to be a really good, throwback to all the stuff we love back today, and a good, true manager, a good mouthpiece and everything. What do you think about the state of managers as they are? Sometimes eye candy, sometimes good mouthpieces, and where do you think you fit in that?
Well, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. The manager, ultimately, over the last, I'd say 15 years now, has pretty much been pushed aside for the introduction of the diva. And let's face it, we live in a world where sex sells.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a good portion of the WWE demographic that would probably rather stare at a nice-looking, young, pair of TNA than stare at my uglies, you know what I mean? So there is that demographic that tunes in to watch the divas and ultimately that's what did in the manager. Now, there's still a place for the manager if used correctly. I think I was an example as far as effectively helping to get a heel to where he needs to get to. You know, I don't know if that's the right choice of words, but you know,
definitely
enhancement. I don't think I don't think Vince is very high on the wrestling manager, to be honest with you.
And we've also read that that you had a hand in helping with Umaga and the moniker the Samoan Bulldozer. Is that correct?
I actually came up with that nickname for the big man.
now was that there's been speculation that's in response to Samoa Joe was big in TNA at the time, and what they call him, the
Samoan submission machine.
Was that a direct response for that, or is that something completely off the cuff?
No, absolutely not. It was a situation where I felt the big man needed a nickname, and on our non-televised live events, aka house shows, I would go out there every night, and I was trying to come up with a name for him, and I had tried a few things that didn't really. That didn't stick. I never referred to him on TV. I never used those nicknames on TV because they didn't really fit.
Yeah.
And then one day, just I watched that awesome. When he hits that running butt splash in the corner. I said, God, it's like a bulldozer, and it just hit me. I said, there it is, Samoan Bulldozer, and I started going out there, and I tried it. And it worked, and I just started going with it. Excellent. So I actually I don't know where I debuted that, but it was somewhere probably in the South, out of Tennessee. And it worked, and next thing I know, that was it. Samoan Bulldozer was born.
What do you think of the, I guess we can call it a sort of, well, we call him it from now on, but William Regal, when he was general manager, started referring to Umaga as Umaga.
Umaga.
Yeah, I had a funny story for that.
Oh, yeah?
We were doing a live event in Fort Myers about a year and a half ago, and I was general manager ECW. William Regal was general manager of Raw, and he was announcing the Raw main event, which consisted of Umaga, and I was announcing the ECW main event, and when William Regal announced Umaga, he called him Umaga. And I looked at him and I said, wait a minute, I grabbed the mic and I said, you mean, and I did the name, and it was the first time I had actually did that name in about a year. And, the crowd came with it. It was a great response, and that was just, some fun that we had with that. I think that's great. It's Regal's thing.
We've called him that ever since. I think at certain points I forget his real name.
Umaga.
Sounds like an exotic fruit.
Wait, what was that?
I said it sounds like an exotic fruit.
Nice.
You got something next?
I was curious. Eventually became an active wrestler again in 2008. Now, did you miss competing in the ring, or did you enjoy more your role on the microphone?
I missed being in the ring. That was something that I hadn't really done regularly for a few years, and I love being able to go out on my own and just worry about myself. For a while it was, I got to manage this guy, or I got to work alongside all these other talents, and that's great. But sometimes, there was a lot of times where I missed being, I guess, the performer. The performer that can go out and get it done and shine, so to speak. So, it was nice to get back in the ring, even though it was for a short while. But, that's what I do, guys. I wrestle. I'm a trained professional wrestler. I went to wrestling school. So, I'm a wrestler first, and if I'm needed to manage, or if I'm needed to general manage, or ring announce, or referee, or make sandwiches, I can do all that.
Excellent. And now I'm curious. This idea it was a while you were pretty much a mic man and a manager, for a good bit. Did you how did you keep in shape, or did you have to come back from it? Did they have you doing dark matches periodically, or were you just working out in the ring before shows, or how'd you kind of keep in the ring shape there?
Well, I always kept in shape.
Mm-hmm.
There was a period where when I started off with Umaga, for about 6 months, maybe 8 months, it was Wendy's every night. So Wendy's and fries, and at 11 o'clock midnight, that isn't good. So I packed some pounds on, and I realized that I'm wearing the suit, so it's not visible to the fans as far as what I got on underneath the suit. So eventually I said, okay, you never know when they'll call upon you to get in the ring and take that suit off and take that shirt off.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got myself on a diet. I started increasing my workouts. I hit the cardio real hard, and I got back into the shape that I had been when I was working regularly in OVW.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the ring shape goes, I would work out before the shows, but no dark matches or anything like that. I basically would work out before the shows and just try to keep my conditioning up and working out with a lot of the guys. And, you never know. You never know one day where they say, hey, today the suit comes off, you got to be ready. So
and
I was ready.
And
I was ready.
I think a lot of people, of course, had seen you in a suit for how long while you're in WWE, were really surprised when you did take it off.
Yeah.
I know the one girl's usually on the show has her own kind of ab list and was kind of blown away. Excellent. So. But yeah, you had a run there, wrestling, and one fan question we do have is, let me pull it up here so I get it right.
Wait, which one is it?
About our favorite guy.
Okay.
How did you feel being the first man to face the great Braden Walker?
I was called upon to work with Braden, Chris Harris, and it was what it was. I mean, in all fairness to Chris, I mean, we were doing a pre-tape, which is a backstage interview that airs on TV. We ended up having to do that live, and we just kept having to redo it. And a lot of people don't know this, that Chris's name, Braden Walker, that name got changed 2 or 3 times, even while doing the pre-tape, where the first time he's seen on WWE programming, his name had changed, the verbiage had changed, the wording had changed. There was a lot of changes being thrown out at this guy who's getting ready to make his debut, so he can't even focus on his match and his performance because he's got to worry about his lines and whatnot. So, in all fairness to Chris, I mean, they threw a lot at him just, in a short time period, as far as for preparation purposes, but it was what it was. I tried to go out there and do the best I could, and I'm sure he did.
Mayhem Show exclusive.
There you go. and you mentioned about it being pre-taped and everything for ECW, and of course you were on Raw for a good long time. What was it that transitioned from that live set to doing the pre-tapes?
Well, there was a period where ECW was live quite a bit.
That's right.
So we were live for a good portion. Then towards the end, we were live to tape, which is you got a safety net there. So I mean, live is live. There's no take 2. There's no redo. There's no editing. Live is live. You know what I mean? And when you're taped like ECW and SmackDown, maybe subconsciously in the back of your head, if you think that maybe you think you have that safety net, I guess. So maybe pressure isn't as high. You know what I mean? But still, there's 15,000 people that'll see you, and if you mess up, then they're gonna chant, "Oh, you effed up, you effed up, you effed up." You guys know that chant.
Oh yeah, we're familiar.
Oh yeah.
Excellent.
No safety net on Raw. No safety net at all.
And another thing with ECW, it seems to be like the place where a lot of the new talent seems to come up through. So I'm sure there's a lot of maybe greener people that came up through. What was it like to of course, in your general manager position and later as a wrestler? What was it like to like kind of see like some like those guys walk in there maybe for the first time to the Fed?
Well, I think ECW is a great platform for guys to get a little national exposure, without being on the live, maybe the heavy pressure show that is Raw or, SmackDown. I think ECW is great. I think you got guys that prove that they can hang, guys like CM Punk right off the bat. Look at where he is right now. Started on ECW. Kofi Kingston's another guy. Started on ECW. Evan Bourne, if it wasn't for, I think he messed up his ankle several months back. If it wasn't for that injury, I think you'd be seeing him on Monday Night Raw every week. I think Jack Swagger is a great talent who's carrying the ball right now. I think that he's doing what's asked of him. And there's a guy that's never been on national television, and here he is. He's carrying the ECW title. So I think it's a great opportunity for guys to reinvent themselves too, and maybe get an opportunity that they might not have gotten on the other two shows. So I think Shelton Benjamin right now is probably getting one of the best spots of his career. And he was able to go to ECW for several months and do his thing and work on the mic, and now look at him. He's on SmackDown every week. He's having fabulous match after fabulous match. So
excellent.
Mike Knox, that's another guy.
Now, we are big fans of Mike Knox here on the Mayhem Show.
We do love Mike Knox.
Yes.
Doesn't he remind you of Bruiser Brody with the way he looks? Just that big, nasty, vicious-looking. There's nothing I like about that guy.
It's the beard, man. His beard has a beard.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. I love it.
Now, what's next? What's coming up for you? We've got Baby Steak and Lemonade in Glendale, Arizona. I believe it was babysteakandlemonade.com. What else is coming up for you?
Actually, correction. ChicagoSteakandLemonade.com. ChicagoSteakandLemonade.com.
We're gonna change our links right now for that.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second, guys. Hey, what's the website? Oh, sorry. Yeah, steakandlemonade.com. You know what? We had some website issues. So right now it's steakandlemonade.com, and I think it should be up any day now with the updated menu, the specialty sandwiches, and all that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm doing the restaurant now, guys. I'm hoping to have my doors open in about 10 days. I'm still working when I can. And if you can believe this, I'm in even better shape than I used to be.
Not
2 or 3
possible.
hours every day in the gym. Working when I can. I got to go down to Puerto Rico to work for WWC, for Carlos Colon.
Excellent.
Always good to go work in Puerto Rico. The fans there are great. And, like I said, I'm working when I can. When I'm not working, I'm here in Glendale trying to get this operation up and running. So, and on top of that, I've been writing a pilot. I'm in the process of finishing up a pilot for an animated cartoon. Well, I guess cartoons are animated. It's an adult themed, and I don't mean adult like pornography. I mean it's for adults, mature audiences only. And I'm hoping to shop that to some networks that might be interested in Armando's creation.
Excellent.
Very cool.
Wow.
So I've got a full plate between my sandwiches, my writing, and my wrestling.
Definitely. Yeah, and speaking of, is there any other wrestling coming in the future? Or
will we see Armando in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania anytime
yeah, especially
soon?
Pittsburgh. We got a couple of feds around here.
You got a couple what out there?
We got a couple indie groups out here. We wouldn't mind seeing you around.
IWC,
No,
one
I'm
hell
not
of a
that far. Chicago and Pittsburgh is not that far. It's about an hour flight. Anybody interested that wants to bring me in to entertain, to manage, to wrestle, to make sandwiches or lemonade, you can reach me at bookarmando@yahoo.com. Like I said, guys, I'm a wrestler first and foremost. I love the business, always have, always will. And, if it makes sense for a promoter to bring me in, if they want to invest in Armando Estrada, then I'll give them a return on their investment. So
Excellent.
book Armando at yahoo.com, and don't forget myspace.com/the real Armando Estrada.
We'll be adding that. We'll definitely be adding that to the show notes.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's one last thing I wanted to ask you. I was wondering if we could get a liner for the Wrestling Mayhem show.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we're recording, so whenever you're ready, sir.
Amigos, you're listening to the Wrestling Mayhem show. And in case you forgot, my name is Armando Alejandro Sumi Estrada.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That is fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Estrada, for coming on the Mayhem Show. You're welcome on here anytime. If you open another Baby Steak and Lemonade nearby,
anywhere,
let us know.
I heard a rumor, and it's just, one of those rumors, that next year's WrestleMania may very well be in the Phoenix, Arizona area, specifically Glendale. So I'm in Glendale, so all the wrestling fans across the world that decide to come out to WrestleMania got to stop by Baby Steak and Lemonade in Glendale. You guys are more than welcome. Food half price. Now you guys eat on the house, on me. So
awesome.
Thanks for having me on your show, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, man.